Hey guys, GHAZZY TV here with another Path of Exile 1 video. We're going to talk about Legacy of Phrecia. As you might hear, I'm not too well. This is what happens when you have a daughter in kindergarten. I've basically been sick basically every other day for the past couple of months now, and it's fucking annoying. Anyways, we're going to talk about Legacy of Phrecia. I have some bad news regarding minion ascendancies after we watch this. And we are also, in this same video, going to cover and talk about the ascendancies that was just released. Well, let's see, those 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Dude, the Scavenger is massive. Oh, no, it is 5, 4. It is 4, but okay, there's 3 images for Scion. Interesting. I haven't checked them out yet. I will be doing that in this video. And also a little shout out to my stream. So if you want to watch me go through and cook and theory crab builds for the upcoming event, which is launching on Thursday, 9 p.m. CET, 12 p.m. PST. On Thursday the 20th, tune into the stream. I'll be bringing in my right-hand man that's helping me with written guide content on PoE 2, Mr. Lolash himself. And we might be joined by Atros, who's helping me with written guide content over at PoE 1 as well, to make sure all of that is in top-notch quality. So let's just dive into it and watch this trailer.
Before the goddess of justice, you are.
I love that they're doing this with the sorrow. It's very fitting, obviously.
Embrace our gifts.
That Reddit meme was so good.
Ascendant. For there's nothing quite so enticing as ascendancy. Ooh.
Are they gonna show the Harbinger?
Shine boldly so that all may find you when the night falls.
Alright, Legacy of Phrecia on the 20th. Alright, let's check this out. Any information we need to worry about? All 19 ascendancy classes you're familiar with will be replaced with new ones. Become a servant of Arcali, race by to fight alongside you, use the powers of nature itself, the daughter of Shabi, yada 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 yada. Alright, so nothing special here. The announcement's pretty cool. I do like that. What we'll be doing is covering a little rundown of the ascendancies we have not seen just yet. So I do this. This is the Behemoth from the Marauder. And in here, we have on the left-hand side, which is yet again one of those mandatory nodes that you have to take, Rampager. Increased character size. Ooh. Spell skills deal no damage. Your spells are disabled. Melee hits counts as Rampage kills, and you have Rampage. What the fuck? Okay, so you're basically forced into becoming a bigger unit, and you get free Rampage. Now, for those of you who don't know what Rampage is doing, I'm going to try to go through this as a new player in PoE. Maybe a lot of people coming in from PoE 2 don't know what these things do, so let me try to explain it, and maybe I'll forget sometimes, but I'll try to make sure to explain these things. So what Rampage is doing is a stacking buff, if you will. You can see here on the right-hand image here, this little counter with a fist, that's Rampage stacks. And there will be certain effects that's going to happen in certain increments, and it will passively give you buffs as well. This buff is stacking up to 1,000. And as you can see here, the Rampage counter keeps a running total of consecutive kills, essentially. And the maximum Rampage count is 1,000. You will get 1% increased movement speed for every 20 stack of Rampage. And you also get 2% increased damage per 20 stack of Rampage. It's straight up damage increase. No, this does not apply to minions. It used to many, many years ago, but not anymore. And if you let the timer run out, which I believe is 5 seconds, other character fail to kill within 5 seconds, then the rampage counter resets to 0. And here are the different rampage tiers. At 15, a nova of spears that damages and stuns surrounding enemies will trigger once you reach 15 stacks. At 30, a large area of effect to detonate dead. 45, several animate weapons are summoned, and these are friendly animate weapons. 70, a damaging nova that echoes off enemies, like the Valai's nova. At 100, a nova of arcing spears that damage the surrounding enemies. And then you have animated bows, 5 damaging novas, cast within 1 second intervals. A cyclone spawns from the player. When the cyclone kills an enemy, another cyclone appears. So there's a pretty cool effect that's happening as you progress and get this rampage stack up. But most importantly, it is the passive buff that people are looking for when it comes to this. And you get rampage stacks by kills by proxies, like mines, traps, or totems, or minions will be giving you rampage as well. But in this case, just you having rampage allows you to get these on kills. But the ascendancy is also providing this by just hitting something with a melee attack. So that's how rampage works. This then connects to the left side dire rampart, which makes you get fortify, and fortification is something that gets you a certain amount of stacks and gives you damage mitigation in PoE 1. And there's a cap of this, I believe it's 20 stacks, right? And every melee hit will then give you fortify, and it also makes you regenerate life per second per fortification, so you get some life regeneration for stacking this fortification up, which also is not permanent. There's a duration, so if you don't hit for a certain amount of time, 4 or 5 seconds, you will lose the rampage, the fortification. This then connects to tireless frenzy, which is increased attack speed per fortification, and maximum amount of fortification goes up as well. The other node that the rampage connects to, let's start with the north side, and that is sheer fury. 15% chance that if you would gain rage on hit, which you always do when you're hitting something, you instead gain up to your maximum rage, and you have plus 15 to max rage. So rage in PoE, rage in PoE 1 is attack damage, right? You gain more attack damage. Important to point out that it is more. It's a multiplicative damage scaling, not an increased attack damage. But you lose 10 rage every second if you have not been hit or gained rage in the past 2 seconds. And I believe the max stack is 50, I believe. So there's a max cap of rage that you can reach. No, 30 apparently. Maximum is 30, my bad. So 30 rage, and you can then stack this even higher because of this node. And every time you do hit something, or a 15% chance when you gain rage that you get max rage instead, which is pretty cool. The next node following is 50% increased rage cost of skills. Vol skills you use yourself cost rage instead of requiring souls. Oh, you cannot gain rage during soul gain prevention. Fueled by hate. That's a pretty cool approach. So increase is additive and more is multiplicative. Yes, that is the terminology in Path of Exile. Decreased is additively, and less and is multiplicative if you want to look at the negative side of it. So the rampage connects down to the south here. I believe I am very much in the way, so I'll read it out. 10% plus to unarmed melee attack critical strike chance. It also makes your critical strike chance lucky while on low life. So the way lucky works is very similar to that of D&D rules. So what it does is that if you have in this case, your crit strike chance is lucky, that means that if you rolled, you're rolling a hit, and the game will then basically check, are you going to crit or not? It will roll that once and see, is it a crit or is it not a crit? When you have lucky, it will roll that chance twice. So essentially, it will roll, is it a crit or not? And then it will roll again, is it a crit or not? And it will always choose the higher value. So in this case, if you roll a non-crit and a crit, it will always choose the crit. That is what lucky is doing for you. There are some other modifiers or mechanics in the game or features that gives you lucky damage and stuff like that. In those cases, the damage roll would roll twice and it would choose the higher damage, for example. So that's how the lucky mechanic works. This node is a standalone node, and we go back to Rampager connecting to this node up here, which is Mental Conditioning, which is +4 mana per 4 strength, and Power of Purpose, which is 80% of maximum mana is converted to twice of that much armor. Unlike PoE 1, armor is actually quite sought after in PoE 1. There are many builds that do mitigate a lot of damage in terms of physical damage mitigation through armor. Not a big fan of ascendancy nodes scaling out my armor in general. because armor works in a similar way in PoE 2, where the harder the enemy hitting you, the less the armor actually is mitigating. So most people that want to stack up physical mitigation do want to have access to modifier that says physical damage mitigation, or reduction, rather. This node, however, connects to two different nodes. We'll start with Steel Willed, which is 2% increased attack damage per 450 armor, allowing your armor stacking to become a damage modifier for you as well, and 10% chance to defend with double your armor each time you've been hit by an enemy recently, up to 30%. So what that means is that if you take a few hits, you will get up to 30% for this to happen. And what it does is that if you take a damage hit that can be mitigated or even partially mitigated by your armor, there's a percent chance for you to mitigate that with twice the amount of armor that you actually have. Not a big fan of that kind of defensive layer personally, but that's what the node is doing. Last node is Incorruptible, which is armor also applies to chaos damage taken from hits, which is actually quite nice to have, allowing you to have chaos damage being mitigated by your armor as well. So that's not a bad node to take. So that is the class, and I'm going to be honest with you, I think this class sucks dick based on what I've seen so far. I think that the whole Vol play seems to be the more interesting approach to it, but what we've seen from the other classes looks way better than what we've seen here. Moving on to the last ascendancy ascendancy choice for the Marauder, it is the Ancestral Commander. Holy fuck! Okay, let's oof. Okay. Let's see. On the left-hand side, you get a 5-choice ascendancy. This is going to be a long one. I'll try not to waste time here. On the left, you get to choose one of 5. The first of those 5 choices you can make is Spirit of Calm. It triggers a level 20 Spirit of Calm skill when a totem dies while a unique enemy is in your presence. So, PoE Spirit of Calm. Let's see if we have information about this. Calm Spirit. That ain't it, is it? Which is Summon Spirit of Calm here. It's a base duration, Immortal Chieftain, minion of Namahu tribe. Okay, so you summon a minion that fights for you with a short duration. Buff causes damage hits to be taken from your nearest totem light before you. Increased buff effect per allocated Namahu tattoo. The skill's cooldown is not recovered during its effect. Trigger his skill when a totem dies while a unique enemy is in your presence. Minion is equal to yours. The minion's level is equal to yours up to a maximum. Okay. So you get a little unit that will fight with you. This is just trigger it when a unique enemy is in your presence. It spawns. Okay. The Spirit of Kahuturua. This one is providing a level 20 Summon Spirit of Kahuturua skill when you take a critical strike from a unique enemy. So you have to take a crit hit from a unique enemy. Yeah, I don't think people will use this. Spirit of Utila, trigger level 20 Spirit of Utila, taking a savage hit from unique enemy. Again, I don't think people will have these where the trigger is based of you taking a crit or a savage hit from an actual boss. I mean, you gotta survive that. Spirit of Kiloava is when you block a damage from a unique enemy. This is more interesting since you actually will potentially trigger this, since a lot of builds in PoE 1 does go for the route of blocking. Rakiata is a on critical strike against a marked unique enemy, and a marked unique enemy is you using a specific curse that is marking the enemy. So there are hex curses and marked curses in Path of Exile 1, and this one is allowing you to if you do a critical strike against that, then this could be summoned. So I think that the Calm and the Rakiata will be the only choices that is actually reasonable in this node. I don't know if the others are better to go for. I don't know. Well, let's find out. Bottom left node, we have you can actually see that. Forest of Ancestors is +1 to maximum number of summoned totems. 20% of damage from hits is taken from your nearest totem's life before you. Rakiata's action speed buff is what chat is telling me. That actually is very good. So this is a defensive and offensive scaling node called Force of Ancestors, allowing you to have more totems and letting your totems take damage from direct hits that you are supposed to be taking. The other node we have is down in the middle, is +3. You can't see it, but it is +3 to maximum endurance charges. And the baseline maximum is 3, so this would then bring that maximum to 6. This connects over to Ancestral Defiance, which is 15% of missing unreserved life. You gain 50% of missing unreserved life before being hit by an enemy. So essentially, when you're about to be hit by an enemy, you will gain 15% of the missing unreserved life that you have. Okay. The other node is on the right here. It's called Toughened Skin. You guys can't see it. I'm a little bit in the way here. Action speed cannot be modified to below base value. Movement speed cannot be modified to below base value. Armor from an equipped body armor is doubled. We're a big fan of that. Next node is Call of the Ancestors, which is 30% reduced Warcry speed and 120% increased Warcry cooldown rates. And this connects over to Death Rattle. Nearby corpse explode when you Warcry, dealing 12% of their life as physical damage. Your Warcries opens chests. So you can scream at some chests to open them. Okay. This connects over to... No, sorry, this does not connect over. Another node is called Ancestral Reach. Strike skills which target additional enemies can do so 50% further away. Non-vol strike skills target one additional nearby enemy. That's pretty good. You see, in PoE 1, melee are not really as broken as Monk is in PoE 2. And you might have heard the arguments and people saying that they're not really melee. It's just saying it's melee, but in reality, you're actually kind of ranged. And this kind of emphasizes and doubles down on that approach because, you know, you're just going to increase the range of which you can hit enemies with your so-called melee attacks. And most melee attacks that you're going to use is going to have big AoE effects, and they're going to have actual projectiles flying out so that you can actually hit enemies and clear. Otherwise, melee would be doggy dog poo poo. Anyways, this one connects Ancestral Echo, and that is strike skills also target the previous location they were used. What? That is... Wait, is that some sort of spell echo version but for melee? What the fuck? That's actually pretty cool. And the last note is nearby enemies convert 50% of their physical damage to fire. Enemies. That I like. Making enemies fist damage turn into fire so you can mitigate the fist damage better. But it's kind of awkward to have this and then have nodes to be like, yeah, let's just stack up my armor. But whatever. That's pretty cool though. Enemies converting their physical damage to fire. I'm not bad at it. I mean, I think the Ancestral Echo looks pretty cool, though. I think that you would kind of skip this unless you do Rakiata for the action speed. But, you know, I'm not a big fan of melee, so I don't really have much good things to say about it. But it definitely looked better than the Behemoth, for sure. Let's see. Next one is the Bog Shaman from the Witch. Okay. Why are they all have the same icons? I haven't actually paid attention to the icons, but whatever. Top left corner, Venom Drinker. 100% chance to be poisoned. And you get plus 5% to all max resistance while poisoned. A max res is capped at 90. It doesn't say elemental res. It just says all maximum resistances. That includes chaos resistance. You cannot be poisoned while there are at least 5 poisons on you. So this seems to be under the approach that you want to poison. I'm guessing you want to poison yourself. And physical, there is no physical resistance. So no, that would not be applied to physical. So you can essentially get 25% to max all resistance. And the max cap originally is 75%. So 25% plus there is already reaching the cap. So you're supposed to have some sort of self-poison thing with this. You can't be poisoned more than 5 times. That's a cool node. There are some methods to self-poison to make sure you have this at all times. No, wait, I apologize. It's plus 5% to all maximum resistance while you are poisoned. It does not stack. I read this the wrong way. You do not get this stack. You can't be poisoned more than 5 times, but the fact that if you are poisoned, no matter how many stacks, you have 5% to all max resistances. I take that back. I misread that. My bad. So you only get 5 plus. It's less overpowered now. Still decent. If you can meet this threshold of just keeping yourself poisoned, that would actually work pretty well. Anyways, next note, Felfen. Nearby enemies' chaos resistance is 0. Chaos resistance is 0. What this means is that your chaos res becomes 0, and the enemies nearby's chaos resistance becomes 0 as well. That's kind of scary in certain content and endgame. So I think that something like this would probably be better if you play like CI. So what CI is, it's chaos inoculation, and it doesn't give you 100% chaos rest. It says that you're immune to chaos rest. So this one would be countered by CI, allowing you to be immune to chaos damage, but you'll have to survive off energy shield. But you will make the enemy's chaos resistance 0. Next node is Eerie Silence. Grants level 20's Pacify skill, and enemies pacified by you take 30% increased damage. Pacify curses all targets in an area, having no effect at first, but causing them to deal no damage once 60% of the curse duration has expired. That is quite interesting. But you don't really care about that too much. You only care about the fact that you make the enemies take 30% increased damage, which is quite a lot, actually. That's a 30% shock value, and it stacks with shock as well. Next node is not Rotten Core, because you have to get this one first, which is Vile Imprecations. Nearby enemies have Malediction. Malediction makes the enemies take increased damage and deal reduced damage as well. And this is also one of those things that would stack with effects like shock or increased damage taken from other sources, such as Pacify from the Eerie Silence. It also makes it so that you have 30% increased reservation efficiency of curse aura skills. When it says increased efficiency, that means it's the positive. It's good. It doesn't make the auras cost more to reserve. It will reduce the cost of them reserving. So it seems like this Bog Witch is more Bog Shaman is like an approach where you're gonna want to have your aura, your curses as auras around you. That seems to be the case from what I can see so far. This node connects to Rotten Core, saying your skills deal you 100% of mana spent on upfront skill mana cost as physical damage. What? Okay, let me read that one more time. Your skills deal you 100% of your mana spent on upfront skill mana cost as physical damage. Okay. Jesus Christ. Skills gain added chaos damage equal to 40% of the mana cost, if mana cost is not higher than the maximum you could spend. Okay. So upfront costs are all costs that are not paid per second. Okay. Now it all makes sense. Holy shit, dude. That was a mouthful, like you guys said, for sure. So it just adds added chaos damage equal to 40% of the mana cost, as long as the mana cost is not higher than the maximum you could spend based on the amount of damage you're about to take. Vile Imprecations also connects to Nightblood. Skills gain a base life cost equal to 25% of base mana cost. Spells you cast yourself gain added physical damage equal to 80% of that life cost, and if life cost is not higher than the maximum you could spend. So that's the same approach, but instead of added chaos damage, you would have added physical damage. But unlike the Rotten Core, which you are going to take a percent of your mana, a percent of your mana spent as fist damage, Nightblood makes it so that 25% of the mana costs will be spent as life cost. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Next node is Toad Pact. Ribbit. You get minus 20% to all elemental rests, so not chaos. Elemental, fire, lightning, cold. But in return, you get 50% prod speed, 50% area effect, 50% skill effect duration. What the fuck? This connects to Pandemic, which is losing 5% of life per second if you have been hit recently, and you gain 40% more damage over time. Multiplicative, more damage over time. Huh. Last node is Sanguine Power, removes all energy shield, gain maximum life instead of maximum energy shield from equipped armored items. So you get life instead of energy shield from equipped armors, but you get -3 max life per character level. So essentially, this is your Blood Mage variant of PoE 2 then. All right, so what's my take then? Blasphemy setup, Pacify for the damage taken, maybe Felfen, and then run that with like a damage over time ability. Is this enough to make Ancestral Contagion work? I don't think so. There's some other options you can go for as well. X-Blast Ignite. Ooh, that's a good one. That is a good one, yeah. It's actually not a bad idea. All right, well, we'll be theory crafting this as we progress. Oh, shit. Bog Shaman. I have one more, and that is the Scavenger. This is the Scion. And I've been pretty excited about checking the Scion. I don't want to waste too much time, so let's just dive into it because the video is getting pretty long already. So we have the Scion has happened upon this Scion has happened upon a heap of trash discarded by other exiles. But for what reason? What exile could look at these curious and think they weren't incredibly valuable? Well, it is hers now. Just to decide which to take, so she can, as she can't carry them all. Sweet Jesus. Okay. Let's start with the left-hand side. You get to go for, I'm guessing these are passive points. And we get to start with, oh, shit. Oh, shit. Nice. Huh. Okay, so they are, all of these are unique items. So the first thing that happened on the first lab gets you these 2 points. On Crew Lab, you get to pick one of these. And then on the Merc Lab, you have to travel these two or these two, right? Or am I going crazy? Well, how are we going to reach these then? One. All right, because okay, so first lab, you get 2 points. On the second lab, you get this and 1 travel node. And then on the third ascendancy, you get to this one or this one. And on the last one, you get this. I'm fucking stupid. Math is hard. Yeah, sorry. I'm not feeling too well today. I got my daughter got me sick again. Anyways, so the first lab, you only get passive. Second one gets you to one of the travels. Third lab gets you to either top or bottom. And the fourth one gets you here. So essentially, let's see. 1, 2, 3. So you cannot get top and bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you cannot get top and bottom. You can only get to the right. And you get to choose the top or bottom. And then the left and right side. That's how the ascendancy is set up. Unless one of those small gives an ascendancy node, sure. All right, let's start with the left side. First off, Stasis Prison. Thank you so much, Lanky, for sub, man. Appreciate that. Stasis Prison, which is 50% of the damage taken, recouped is life, and recoup is basically damage from hits that you're taking will be recovered over the next 4 seconds. Debuffs on you expire 50% faster. The other one is Cloak of Flame, which is percent of physical damage from hits is taken as fire instead, converting incoming damage that you take from hits, not dots. And then you have Fox Shade, which is increased movement speed while on full life. Damage of enemies hitting you is unlucky while you're on full life. I mean, if you're CI with Fox Shade, you get permanent movement speed and permanently have enemies hitting you being unlucky from their damage. We already talked about luckies. I don't have to do that again. You also get increased global evasion rating when on full life. I like the Fox Shade one. Chevron's Wrappings, that is an old school classic meta body armor that everybody wanted 8 years ago. Chevron's Wrappings, chaos damage taken does not bypass energy shield. Unlike PoE 2, chaos damage will go past your energy shield. But in PoE 2, the chaos damage deals twice the damage on your energy shield before dealing damage to your life. In PoE 1, it just bypasses your energy shield entirely. Chevron's Wrappings would have let that not happen. Last one. Blunderbore. 40% increased effect of shrine buffs on you. You have a lesser brutal shrine buff and a lesser massive shrine buff. So these are damaged shrines. And then you connect and we get to see one of these. You know what? I want to look at that before I take a look at the last one. So if we take the top side, Midnight Bargain. What the fuck? All right, we start with Cerberus Limb. 0.5% of spell damage leeches life. If equipped shield has at least 30% chance to block. You get +1 maximum energy shield per 5 armor on your shield, +5 armor per 5 evasion, and +20 evasion rating per 5 energy shield on your equipped shield. Nycta's Lantern is 50% increased light radius and gives you Battle Mage, which is added spell damage equal to the damage of your main hand weapon. Next note is the Fulcrum. 25% physical damage is converted to fire, cold, and lightning, and elemental ailments you inflict are reflected back to you. Interesting. Void Battery, 25% increased spell damage per power charge and +1 to maximum power charges. Yeah, kind of expected when I saw that. Obliteration. Why wouldn't that be said obliteration? Why is it obliteration? That has to be a spelling error. Because this is the wand, right? Obliteration wand. Enemies you kill have a 30% chance to explode, dealing a quarter of their maximum life as chaos damage. That's really good. That's really. What do they do with the Midnight Bargain then? So Midnight Bargain reserves life, but it doesn't do that on this ascendancy, and it doesn't do this crazy shit. So you get 3 max summon phantasms, 1 extra specter, 2 extra zombies, 2 extra skeletons, and 3 extra SRS. Is this the new yeah, why didn't they call this the GHAZZY node? Interesting take. Okay, so that's the top side. And if you were to take the bottom side, you would get Sinvictus Metal, which is 2% increased area of effect per 25 rampage kills. Gain a frenzy charge on every 50th rampage kill, and you just have rampage. Okay, that's not too bad. Soul Taker, insufficient mana doesn't prevent your melee attacks. Your physical damage can chill. Okay. Wheel 2 Midnight Bargain with Chevron's wrappings to get 5 specters. Doomfletch, gain 20% of damage. Sorry, gain 20% of weapon physical damage as extra damage of each element. That's not bad, actually. Oro's Sacrifice is Culling Strike against burning enemies. Gain a frenzy charge if an attack ignites an enemy. So you could do flickers with this, I guess. Starforge. You can type exclamation mark Starforge in my stream to check out the best pieces in the universe, but in PoE 1, they don't have PCs. Instead, what Starforge is doing back in those days is that your physical damage can shock, and 20% of increased area effect for your attacks. Tawawa's Feeling. Trigger level 22 is chosen when you attack with a non-vol, slam, or strike skill near an enemy. Alright. So, bottom side looked pretty meh, in my opinion, for my personal preferences. Let's check out what you get on the right-hand side, then. Taking chaos damage over time heals you instead while leeching life. Interesting. Surface Heart. Chaos damage can ignite, chill, and shock. And then you have Death Rush, which is adrenaline for 5 seconds on kill. Adrenaline gives you 100% increased damage, 25% APS, cast speed, and movement speed, and 10% additional physical damage mitigation, or reduction, rather. And you cannot gain adrenaline when you already have it, and it's only a 5-second duration after you've killed something. Next note is Dodra's Tongue. Cursed enemies cannot inflict elemental ailments on you. Okay. Fury Evolve, modifier to number of projectiles instead apply to the number of targets projectiles split towards skills. Skills fire 2 additional projectiles, a separate line there. So modifier to number of projectiles instead apply to the number of targets projectiles split towards. Not sure I like that one. And then the skills fire 2 additional projectiles. I'm not a big fan of Fury Evolve personally. The right-hand side felt a bit meh. Top side looked pretty damn cool, I'll tell you that, with the Midnight Bargain, but I mean, I don't think this is going to change much in terms of making a Scion an actual contender for minion builds, but our cooking sessions will reveal this soon enough. Was that all the classes? Do apologize for the little break I had when my daughter showed up. That's it. Let's not prolong this video too much. I will be beginning my cooking session of theory crafting builds for the League event starting Thursday next week. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe for more content. Leave a comment down below what you guys think of these classes, and I'll see you guys in the Twitch chat. So till then, as always, stay safe and keep rocking.